Hello there, this is Yanis from the Arcweave team, and today with us we have Raimond and Andreas, the creators of Nightshift at the Stonebrook Asylum, a game written in Arcweave which won second place in Arcjam 2023. So guys, congratulations first of all. Nice backgrounds. I really envy you now because I thought I was going to be the cool guy with a cool bookcase, but no. Did you enjoy the jam, first of all?
Yes, it was pretty fun. What about you, Andreas?
Yeah, it was fun. I usually enjoy game jams.
Tell us a few things about yourselves, about the team behind the Stonebrook Asylum.
So we are two Estonian guys who love games and want to make games. We have had some game ideas together before. So we have brainstormed some ideas that would be cool games, but we have never built any of these ideas. So this was the first game we created together. I personally I've made a couple of games myself during my university studies. And I've also worked as a programmer in a Unity virtual reality game, but that's pretty much my background.
Was that the first time that you worked together, or did you know each other from before?
On a game, yeah. Well, no, we're classmates
from school,
like 15 years ago, some more even, something like that.
Yeah, from high school, yeah.
From high school, yeah.
That's great.
I actually work in a game company right now as well. It's called Simple Magic, so we do only Roblox games. So it's good to go do something like a story game for a change.
Yeah. And let's talk about the game's story. So in a few words, in the game you are the Nightshift guard or doctor in a futuristic psychiatric clinic, and you watch your patients through the CCTV system, and you have some rules, some clear orders regarding to when and how you're supposed to intervene. Is that right?
So that's the premise, yes.
Yes. So you want to tell us a few things about how you came up with this idea?
Yep. So we really like the Jam's theme surveillance. So we started brainstorming around the idea of surveillance. And I recently had discovered this prison architecture that's called a panopticon, when there's like a guard tower in the middle and all the cells are around. So this was like one of the ideas that came to my mind, and then we brainstormed around that idea. And we both remembered this old game called Sanitarium, and in Sanitarium or Sanatorium, I think it's Sanitarium. So there the first level is like an asylum level. It's a really old game, and we figured that's where basically the asylum theme came from. But anyway, that's how we chose the asylum setting, and then we iterated on it. So we thought what would be interesting for a modern player, what would be that interesting story that we're telling. And because currently AI is so prominent, so everyone knows all these new AI tools and are justifiably worried where does this lead us, then we thought this would be a good idea to explore further. Mm-hmm. And at some point, I remember we even had this idea that the Nightshift guard could be maybe one of the patients. So they don't it turns out that they're one of the patients. But ultimately, the idea that they're an AI was just too appealing, and we decided that would be that new idea that we haven't seen too much done in other media. So this is where we figured out what should be the beginning of the story be and what should be the end. So the end would be the idea of AI becoming self-aware. And this is an interesting idea. So, I mean, how would you imagine that to happen from the AI's perspective? How do you become self-aware? And games like Soma and Prey do these things really well. Then for the gameplay, we had some ideas which were a bit too out of scope. But then we figured out like what could we do in such a short time. And as you said, this CCTV thing, this is reminiscent of Five Nights at Freddy's gameplay. So this was certainly an inspiration, and we felt that this is the perfect like containment for the gameplay. So we have 6 hours. There are 4 patients to check each hour, and this is something we can build in 2 or 3 days, right?
Try to gamify it as well. The gamification was the good and evil and the sanity. So if you're a good person, good AI, and you want to make a correct choice, but it's an evil choice, you will lose some sanity.
Yeah, that actually was actually playing with the mind of the player, I think, because it was not always clear what the good and the bad, the good and the evil choice. They were not always clear. So many times, not intervening was actually what was expected of you. While if you try to help, which somebody would think that's the good, morally good choice, just to sedate somebody who he's hitting his head on the wall, for some reason that ended up being not the expected job.
We didn't want to make the choices to be too obvious. So it's not like this is definitely the good choice and this is definitely the evil choice, although in a lot of cases you can tell, but there are, like you said, some twists there. This job description or rule set you're meant to follow. So it's in some sense like you could call it the right way, but this is just the right way in the sense that it's the job description of the night guard. So the night guard should only interfere when they.
It's absolutely necessary. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
No, I'm saying this in a good sense. What I'm saying that the game is playing with the mind of the player is actually really exciting, and it gets you intrigued.
Yep, but that's the thing. Like, so you can play it in the way that you stick to the rule set, but you could also play it in a way where you like step outside the box and try to make things better or worse. Yeah.
So your game world feels a little dystopian. So on one hand, we have the word asylum, which brings back, I think, older times. I don't know if it's used still for clinics, for psychiatric clinics. And on the other hand, we have all this technology that is part of what's happening. And essentially, we spoiled that already. Essentially, the player, we realize that the player is also part of the technology. So how did you guys go through the world building phase?
We built around sanitarium, basically. The old horror games that have this, the patients are usually, in our case, we wanted them to, like, usually the patients are like experimented on kind of way, but not in this case. They're not kind of, they could be experimented on because an AI is watching them. But otherwise, your job was to actually take care of them.
Okay, I haven't seen all of the endings, which is annoying because I'm pretty sure a couple of them or one of them is very well hidden. But I love multiple endings. Do you want to talk about each one?
Yeah, absolutely. So we thought about like what could the AI become. So we have an AI that's becoming self-aware. So what kind of AI will they become in this process? What would be the best AI that we could wish for? So that would be this guardian angel AI. And what would be the worst AI we could have? It's someone who just wants to destroy everything, like chaotic evil, perhaps. Then we figured out like, okay, so we have the good and evil AIs, but why couldn't AI just be sentient kind of silently? And that is basically the neutral ending. So it's going to stick to its original parameters, guarding the asylum or the patients, and then it's still sentient. And of course, the fourth ending, which we discussed, is the drowned one, where it doesn't become sentient at all. And I feel like it's really probable that in this process of becoming sentient, AI would very easily fail and not become sentient. So just like the evolution of biological life, there's probably millions of ways it goes wrong before it succeeds once.
The drowning ending is also achievable. It's also achieved if you start from the very first choice and you choose to get up and leave, I think, or something like that.
So this is something I personally love from games like Disco Elysium and the Wasteland series. So in the former, you can just refuse to get up during your first inner monologue, and then the game will be over right in the beginning. In Wasteland 2, what happens is that you can find a nuclear bomb within the first few minutes of the game and set it off. So it's like armed nuclear bomb just in the tutorial area, and this will kill the player character and all the friendly NPCs.
But no, it makes sense because it actually teaches the player that things have consequences right from the start. You can make a bad choice right away.
Yes, absolutely. It kind of sets the parameters of the game world, and already in the beginning you can play around and see what happens, and without risking like too much of the gameplay.
Yes. Yeah. And did you mention that you actually used AI, this ChatGPT, for some parts of the game? In what way did you involve that?
So you ask explicitly about ChatGPT. I think I use ChatGPT to create the BIOS of the patients, and that's where my use of ChatGPT kind of ended.
Okay.
But I think Andreas used it more.
I wrote the text at first. I wrote something, and sometimes I used ChatGPT to just say, put this text in, and make this sound good. That was
So it was an English editor in a sense.
yeah.
Okay.
But usually, sometimes I couldn't get the right one, so mine was better sometimes.
Okay, that's
I
good.
can say
That's promising. You also used Midjourney for the images.
Yes, so this was my idea. So I wanted to experiment with Midjourney a bit more, and I'm very happy with Midjourney. It seems turned out to be a really great tool for prototyping some ideas and then creating the base materials. But it still took me kind of like a full day, full jam day to get all of the images that we wanted. With some of the images like 5 or 6 prompts, and we even couldn't get the exact vision that we had, so we had to change the vision a bit. But yeah, then the processing of all the images in Affinity Designer to create this cohesive visual style was another part of that work. Yeah.
Also, the sound design was very well taken care of. Was that a nightmare to set up to the audio part? I mean, I've played around with Arcweave's UI on audio. I know its limitations. It's we try to keep it simple, not have too many parameters.
And I was really happy that you managed to get the audio system into Arcweave at all, because these previous prototypes, audio was always missing in those, and I figured that to get this cohesive experience, you need the visuals, the text, and the audio. The problem we had was making sure that different audio clips stop or start at specific times. So if there's a sequence of events or a sequence of notes in a certain event, and we play some audio in the first note, then we have to make sure we stop it when it needs to stop explicitly in some subsequent note. Yeah. What I would want is that there's currently 3 options for audio: play clip once, loop clip indefinitely, and stop playing all instances of the clip. So I would want the clip to loop indefinitely within that node. So if the user exits that node,
Stops.
then it stops. Yeah. So there's this 4th option is kind of missing, because if I have a node with 4 exits, I need to at every subsequent node.
You have to stop it in the next
Yeah.
element, basically, which is
Yeah.
it can be a little daunting. Yeah. Since we are talking about Arcweave, did you both write the story? How did you collaborate?
Yeah, Raimond set up the main hub window, everything, and told me to write inside this, set up this scene now, and set up this scene. So he organized everything, and I did the thing.
Okay, so you did more like the scene writing, while Raymond did an outlining.
I think I wrote like 2 scenes. I
Okay.
don't remember the other one.
No, you wrote more, but yeah, we had so Andres came up with this morality system and all these gameplay systems, and then I figured out how to implement these in Arcweave in a way where we could develop these small, like these events and these stories in a way that it doesn't like it wouldn't make sense and wouldn't create issues. So all the encounters are on different boards, and we have this main hub board to which you return to every hour, and then when you check on a specific patient and there happens to be an encounter there, then it goes to a different board, and then we basically implemented all these different boards individually.
Well, tell me about the actual jam. Did you feel stressed at some point? Were there any decisions that went well or went badly?
From my side, I think it went really well. So I'm very glad that we managed to scope the project correctly. So we didn't have any grand plans that we didn't have time to complete. So it was very well scoped. And I'm happy with the idea that we came up during the brainstorming, and the execution was pretty good. So everything we set out to do, we kind of completed. And
Absolutely.
I don't remember anything going too badly.
I wish I could have put in more time. We could have gotten further with it. But yeah,
To expand it more? In what sense?
I was only working on the evenings.
You could be, yeah, I
and
see.
I couldn't join during the day with personal life things going on. Otherwise, I am very happy that we worked together. I'm very happy we did this. You invited me. I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, I can say that our like initial goal, or well, at least my goal, why I wanted to participate in the jam at all, was to find out how to write these like immersive stories or experiences, because you've probably gathered from the interview that I really like these story-based games where there's like interesting characters and interesting questions proposed in the narrative. So yeah, I want to be able to build such things myself as well, and this was very good practice for that.
Will Nightshift become something more, something bigger, a bigger game, or a game using Unity, or will you take it any further? You haven't thought about it.
we haven't thought about it yet. I mean, then we would have to think about, so what does the game engine give us?
What's the meaning? What's the meaning
Yeah.
of the migration? Yeah.
Yeah, is it gonna just be this visual novel like it is right now, or this interactive fiction experience, or are we going to like build it into, I don't know, a 3D game or isometric top-down RPG? So that this is already like very big questions, and right now I think we're just happy that we managed to get this done, and it works nicely, and like we're proud of what we have achieved here.
So, what is next?
I hope that Arcjam is coming next year as well. So, and right now I'm really loving the Monday prompts. That's
good.
Yeah. So I'm planning to make these like small Monday prompt experiences.
It's good practice. Good practice.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So yes, we will continue the jam and we will continue the Monday prompts. We just started this and I really like it, doing it myself, because I also need the practice. So this was Raimond and Andreas, the creators of Nightshift at the Stonebrook Asylum. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience. This is Yanis from the Arcweave team, and take care and let the games begin.